We can officially welcome in Casey Jacobsen. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. I'm actually I'm in Southern California right now. I'm at a water polo tournament for my daughter, but it's a good time. It's in between games right now, so I'm just like hanging out in my car and watching the NBA draft while I'm also watching my daughter. I don't know if that's a bad dad move, but my girls are so used to me, like, watching stuff while I'm also watching them. I don't think I don't think they're offended too much.
The multitasking skills.
Casey, water polo sounds more entertaining than what we're doing as Suns fans, waiting for the 52nd pick in the draft. So,
yeah, no, I hear that. There's a lot of trades going on. There's not too much surprises so far in the draft, but yeah, I hear if you're a Suns fan, the fireworks show was just a couple of days ago, not necessarily tonight.
what do you remember about your draft night? I mean, you drafted 2003, correct? 23rd pick?
2002.
Oh, damn.
And the 22nd pick, but that's all right, Espo. You've been around a long time, seen a lot of draft picks come and go, and so yeah, they probably all just melt together. But yeah, it was a special night, obviously. I think the interesting story that I have, a couple of things. One, I did not want to go to Madison Square Garden to be a part of the draft. And the reason I didn't want to go was because I wasn't sure. Like I heard you guys interviewing Frank Kaminsky. I guess that was a replay from yesterday. And his range was anywhere from 5 to 20 something. Mm-hmm. My range was like 18 to second round. Yeah. And, to me, that made me nervous to like go and be a part of the draft and, be one of those guys that's in the green room forever. Or until the second round. And instead of it being a great night, a night of celebration, it ends up being a night where you're kind of anxious and it's not very much fun. I didn't want that. So I was planning on having a private friends and family only party where I grew up in Glendora, California, a suburb in LA. But Brian Colangelo, who was the GM of the Suns at the time, he called me and said, after all the draft process was done, it was about, I don't know, maybe 7 days before the draft. He said, hey, we're going to take you. We have a pick at 9, which ended up being Amari Stoudemire, and our later round pick, we're going to take you. And I said, that's amazing news, Brian, but I'm not going, man. He's like, no. Like, I'm telling you, we're going to take you. And I want our fans to see you. I want them to meet you on TV and all that and get excited. And so he talked me into it. I went. And I was still nervous as heck, man. Brian Colangelo is a trustworthy dude, but I was still like, I don't know, things happen. Maybe they have a player that slipped, later in the draft and they would take him before. And yeah, I just, but it ended up being great. And the second part about it for me personally that was unique was my mother, Becky Jacobsen. She passed away a year after I got drafted. So she got sick with cancer my rookie year. And she was just in and out of hospitals pretty much my entire rookie year. That draft night was the last time that I got to dress up. I was in a suit. My mom's in a dress. We go out to dinner. We had a great weekend in New York. It was really the last time that I got to, experience my mother healthy, happy, fun, not in a hospital. We have the pictures with David Stern, myself, and my mom and dad. So those are memories that I'll always cherish, a picture that I still have hanging in my home to this day. So I was grateful for that really fun weekend that we had before my mom got sick and passed away.
I'm really glad that you were able to have that with her. It seems like draft nights are just, there's just so much about this weekend and this night for all of the players and their families involved. So it's really cool to hear that. And I love hearing the stories that we get out of draft night because we actually get to know these guys a little bit more than what we did coming into it. Even nowadays, even 2023, where you have full access to players way before we used to be able to get access to these players. You mentioned what you were wearing that night and just getting all dressed up. How do you feel like it's evolved since your draft night experience to now as far as the fashion kind of goes for these guys?
I mean, it always fashion goes in these weird trends. People are trying to use it as a fashion show. I saw Grady Dick's suit, or I don't even know if that's called a suit, whatever that's called. That's bold, but guys do that all the time. They push the envelope. Whether it's Grady Dick now or in 10 years, somebody else is going to be wearing maybe a see-through suit, and all they're going to be in is their underpants. I don't know, but yeah, I wore a pinstripe suit, but I had the gangster shoes, the two-tone white black Oxford tips. And one other brief story. So the NBA draft in 2002 was broadcast on TNT. So it was Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. And then Craig Sager, the late Craig Sager, was the one who was doing the interviews after you got drafted. So after I got drafted, I shake David Stern's hand, I walk off the podium, and I sit down with Craig Sager. Well, my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, her name's Brittany, she was at the draft with me, and she got a lot of airtime on TNT. And every time they showed her, there'd be some people cheering in the crowd, some weirdos. And then Craig Sager, one of his first questions to me was, "Does your girlfriend have a sister?" And immediately
oh my God.
Yeah, it was like inappropriate, but that's kind of how we did stuff in 2002, right? Like you can't do that now. You can't say that now. I laughed it off, but immediately Charles Barkley was like, "Craig, you're too ugly anyway. She wouldn't go out with you even if she had a sister." So we had a good time on that interview. Yeah, so that was fun. My wife still gets embarrassed when I bring it up now.
You should just be happy there was no Twitter then.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. What during your draft process, was there anything funky or funny that a team made you do during that process, or a workout, or a question that you got asked?
No, I mean, I'm kind of a boring guy. You probably get some other answers from people. Like I born and raised in Southern California. I went to Stanford. I was kind of a nerd who loved to play ball. So I wasn't doing some wild and crazy stuff. But it was a whirlwind experience. I mean, I did probably 8 or 9 workouts in the span of 2 weeks. I was flying all over the country. It was as wild, but also like, I mean, I had trained my whole life for that. So I was nervous before every single workout. I got my nose fractured in one of the workouts. I guess that's interesting. The Detroit Pistons, it was me, Tayshaun Prince, who they ended up drafting that year, Ryan Humphrey, and somebody else whose name escapes me, but we were playing one-on-one. I was against Ryan Humphrey, and he tried to clear out some space, and unfortunately my nose got in the way of his elbow, and yeah, he cracked my nose. It was just a hairline fracture. It wasn't like my nose shifted off my face or anything, but it was bleeding, and I got checked out by the medical staff, and I got glued up and everything. So yeah, that happened. Yes.
Oh, man.
And they didn't even draft you. What an incident.
Yeah,
Rude.
Like for us that don't know, like an NBA workout at that point in time, like are we talking about like a 45-minute workout, a 2-hour workout? Are they running you through a series of drills? Are they checking your endurance? Like, what are they doing in these processes?
Yeah, well, they're certainly not checking your endurance. They better know that you're in good shape, or you better be in good shape at that time. They don't want to waste time with doing any of that kind of like the cardio stuff. At least not then. I don't know what they do now, as I'm obviously not a prospect anymore.
You should have been on that New Orleans staff to help him with Zion.
That's a whole nother conversation. So on there. But the workouts varied, guys, because some of them had only 2 people, some of them had 4. So, right, if you're in with a group of 4, the workout's going to be longer. You're going to do 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 stuff. Usually you would ramp up during the workout, meaning you would start with some, just regular, like getting loose, getting warmed up, and then you do some shooting drills. Then you would go on to 1-on-1. Then it would progress to 2-on-2 and all of that. I never had a workout that was more than 4 people. But yeah, just a lot of 1-on-1, and then like during my workout with the Suns, for instance, we finished our workout, and then the head coach, Frank Johnson at the time, he actually asked me after the workout was over if I could do some more shooting, 3-point shooting work, which no other coach really asked me to do extra. He wanted to see like my footwork in specific instances, flare cuts, down screens and stuff like that. And I was more than happy to show him I could shoot. That was like the strength I had. If he would have told me that he wanted to see my defensive capabilities, I'd have gotten nervous. But he asked me to shoot a few times from deep. I was like, yeah, you got it. Let's do this. So, but then you would always have a conversation with the head coach, assistant coaches, and the general manager. So I got to sit down with guys like Jerry West, who was the GM for the Memphis Grizzlies at the time, Joe Dumars, who was the GM for the Detroit Pistons at that time, Brian Colangelo with Phoenix. So it was pretty cool to get to Mitch Kupchak for the Lakers at the time. It was cool for me to get to know these men that I've been following and either watching during their playing careers, get to know them a little bit more on a personal basis. That was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I do have to ask because obviously your former team has a pick way later in the draft tonight, but they've been very active leading up to this. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about what the Suns have done so far with Bradley Beal, what they might have yet to do tonight in terms of moving up or maybe a DA trade if there's some fireworks to come? Just what do you think about the Suns situation right now?
Well, I've loved watching the Suns over the last couple of years, watching them go after it. Winning an NBA championship is nearly impossible. Being relevant in the playoff contention is really, really difficult. People don't even understand. Really good teams and great players don't advance deep into the playoffs very often. What the Suns have been able to do over the last 3 years has been really awesome to see. Now they have a new owner, and obviously Matt is going after it as hard as he can possibly go after it, throwing all of his chips into the center table, man. I'm stoked. I love watching teams like the Lakers, like the Warriors, like the Suns push it all in, man. This isn't a 5, 6, 7 year plan. This is a today or tomorrow plan. And those are the type of organizations that I like to watch. Now, with this Bradley Beal trade, I have watched Bradley Beal. I've been a fan of his for many years, although hasn't played in a lot of games over the last several seasons. I'm just really worried about the fit. I know you guys have already heard that from other people. This isn't like, a crazy in-depth analysis by me. I just will say that I'm excited to watch it play out, but there's a reason why many teams don't have 3 dominant wing scorers, even if those guys can do multiple things. Like Kevin Durant can do multiple things. He can handle the ball. Devin Booker has taken a huge leap forward. He can do multiple things. He's not just a shooting guard. He's a heck of a basketball player and can be your point guard. He can bring the ball up the floor at times. He's proven that at a high level. But these guys are wing scorers. That's what they are. Yeah. And to have 3 of them on one team that have high usage rate for good reason, by the way, they need the ball. They should have the ball, but there's only one ball. So I'm fascinated by how this will work. Somebody is going to be not as happy. The good thing though, and where I think sometimes this gets lost in the conversation is, okay, the Suns have 3 maybe players that do the same things, but are they smart? Are they the type of players that can figure it out? Are they selfish, or are they willing to bend for the greater good? Because you get worried when you put 3 guys that do similar things, but that are selfish or are about themselves and not the team. That is no doubt gonna be a disaster. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, when they were united in Miami, you could argue that wasn't a great fit. Those 2 players did a lot of the same things. They both wanted to have the ball in their hands. They didn't really move that well off the ball. They did a lot of the same things. But what those 2 guys had in common, besides the fact that they're Hall of Famers, is they were 2 of the smartest players in the NBA. Give me smart players, whether they're centers, point guards, wings, whatever. I don't care. Give me really good and really smart players, and I will push my chips in. So that's my analysis. I am fascinated by this move. I am hesitant to be like, I know it's going to work, because I don't know it's going to work. However, they're smart players. really, really smart. And so can they and will they figure it out? I think they will. But I think it's going to be bumpy, guys. I think there's going to be some bumps where you're like, I don't know if this is going so well.
Casey, one thing that I've been fascinated in this draft, and it's specifically at the top of it, is how many guys that were drafted that didn't go to college. You've covered the college game. Does that surprise you and worry you about the future of the NCAA, or is this just kind of top tier talent is going to go this route?
It's been like this for a long while now, and it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, Espo, the NIL changes, so the name, image, and likeness rules that have changed in the last 2 years in college athletics, not just basketball, have actually helped, I think, college basketball the most. Guys like Drew Timme and Oscar Tshiebwe, 2 Player of the Year candidates at the center position, have recently come back to college basketball. I mean, Drew Timme is now in the draft, but he came back last year as a first-team All-American. They came back to college basketball because of 2 things. One, the way that the NBA game is going, that the center position is is less valued than it ever has been. But 2, these guys can make hundreds of thousands of dollars coming back to play college basketball. So I'm super excited that student athletes all across the country are getting paid at the college level for their name, image, and likeness. Long time coming. But no, I'm not worried at all. Guys like Zion Williamson, they come in, they play 1 year, and they're off. That's fine with me. I enjoy them. Brandon Miller this year was really, really fun to watch at Alabama. They're meteors, man. They're all right. I like watching them. I don't mind at all. I'm not upset at them for leaving early. I'd do the same thing if I were as talented as they were. The college game still is a great product. I don't think we're losing any college basketball fans like the last 5 years or so that wouldn't have been or that would have been college basketball fans in the last 5 years at all. So I think it's working out great for those players that want to. I think and the last thing I'll say is this: I don't want to keep rambling, but college has proven itself to be a fantastic vehicle, even if it's just 1 year, a fantastic vehicle for these young men to grow as basketball players and to play on a platform, whether that be in the ACC, the Pac-12, the SEC, the Big 10, Big 12, wherever. These guys get eyeballs on them. People learn to even if it's just 1 year, they learn to love their game, to know a little bit more about them, and then when they come to the NBA, they're that much more ready to play and produce in the NBA.
Casey, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. When you're in Phoenix next time, come on through.
Well, I'm coming out there. I'm moving my family out to Phoenix in a few weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to be hanging out on the set with you guys. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Save me a root beer.
Awesome.
Always an open invitation.
Save
for
you a root beer? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, we will, Casey.
I don't drink alcohol, so save me a root beer and we'll knock a few back. All
This
right.
is perfect. I also don't because I'm allergic. So you can have a root beer and I'll have a Coke. Maybe we'll even put an ice cream scoop
There
in
you
it
go.
or two. Get a little crazy
Now
around
you're
here.
speaking my language.
You guys are the best. Have a good night.
You
Bye,
too.
Casey.
Thanks, Casey.